Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of PowerOn. This is your co-host, Dashing Drew Rude, along with my translucent, ever fluorescent. She ruined it. My translucent co-host, Chad Novinka.
You're the one who said translucent. How am I supposed to get through that?
We're keeping this intro.
Yeah,
we can't pass it up. And we are here to talk about Half-Life today, if you hadn't guessed already. It's one of our favorite series. It's very... I feel like it's obscure a little bit.
It kind of is a little bit. Like, people know of it.
I would think if you walked up to somebody...
But not as many people have played it.
Yeah. Well,
Which
I
is
still
weird
feel like...
it's, one of the most highly regarded games in the past 20 years.
Yeah, it is. It's won a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's something that if you were to walk up to somebody on the street and say, hey, have you heard of Half-Life? I would imagine they wouldn't have heard of it. But if you walked into like an esports arena...
Oh, any game.
Yeah, any gamer would know what it is.
Yeah.
So.
First one came out on November 19th, 1998.
Damn, that's old, man.
Yeah. It's created by Gabe Newell. Developers are Valve Corporation and Gearbox Software. Writers are Matthew Armstrong, Stephen Ball, Chet Falazeski, Rob Hieronymus, Brian Hess, Christy Junio, Mark Ledlaw, David Mertz, Jay Pinkerton, Randy Pitchford, and Eric Wolpaw. Pitchford's the only name I really know from that. And this is comprehensive, all the Half-Life universe. It's probably going to include some Portal stuff.
We would consider this a generalization episode if you've actually been downloading the other ones. So we're not going to be like cutting anything open. We're kind of just talking about it. And the interesting part about it is a lot of this information, I know that at least that you pulled from, isn't even in the damn game.
No, it's not.
Because I don't even remember it being in the game. We're talking about like all the backstory.
Yeah, when we get into the backstory, it's not even like environmental, like you would say Resident Evil is, where you pick up files, or the Souls games, Bloodborne, where it's told throughout, items in the game.
We should say the series is a first-person shooter, though.
Oh yeah, genre. It's a science fiction first-person shooter. It's a platform. There's a lot of platform mechanics in it. There's a lot of jumping from platform to platform, not falling to death, and puzzles. There's a lot of good puzzles in those games, I remember. Yeah.
I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't remember how I heard about it or how I got my hands on it. Because when it first came out, when it first came out, it was still disc-based. You didn't have like Steam where you could just download it. So you had to go buy
I went to
box.
the store and bought it, and it broke my computer. And then we ended up getting a new computer, and I ended up installing Half-Life on it. Like, as soon as we got the new computer, I was like, well, I gotta try to play this game. And I played it, and fuck, I loved it. Long game.
You know what I liked about it, though?
What?
It was simple as shit. Like, you know who you are.
What Doom did for first-person shooters, Half-Life perfected it.
Yeah.
I would say maybe not even like Halo wouldn't exist without Half-Life. The way it plays, a lot of the first-person shooters that are the big games, like Half-Life was kind of doing a lot of stuff first.
Yeah.
There was games like Jedi Knights and stuff, and there were some other ones between Doom's release and Half-Life. Just the whole, like, the thing now where every FPS pretty much starts with you're inside your character's head and everyone's talking to you, and it's this long intro where you're like almost on rails, and they go, oh, come over here, come over there. That's how Half-Life starts. You're on rails, literally on a tram rail going into the Black Mesa facility. And you start any new FPS game, especially the big AAA games, that's how they start. They start with you inside your head, looking around, kind of getting used to controls, and listening to somebody talk to you.
Yeah, they all do that. Yep.
Yep, they all do it now, and nobody did that before Half-Life.
Yeah.
That I can recall. I would love for someone to write in, tell me, hey, there's a game before that did this.
I think my favorite part about it is the way they fleshed it out over the years. So, for example, that the security guard that's banging on the door.
Yeah,
Barney.
maybe we should talk about what the game's actually about and introduce the characters.
We got to get into Black Mesa, though. I think.
So
Black Mesa is a character.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, it starts off, and you're a guy named Gordon Freeman, and you're going to work at a facility named Black Mesa Research Facility, which is basically like Area 51. The best way you can put it.
It looks like that building that everybody thinks exists in like a cliff, like inside a mountain somewhere in Nevada, where the government's doing all their like weird, crazy experiments.
What's the
Roswell?
No. What's the
Area 51?
No.
You said that, right?
I said Area 51, but the nuclear research disposal facility. You
talking about
Yukon Mountain?
Okay, I don't know that.
Damn, I can't remember the name of it.
I was about to say Shadow Moses.
I can't think of it right now. Some mountain that facility's built into, but it's bigger than that. It's like if Jurassic Park was built into the Arizona desert.
Yeah, and all it is scientists down there with security guards, like tinkering,
doing
with stuff.
research,
and you get a glimpse of it when you come in. That's what the tram.
No, you know what it
ride is.
actually really reminds me of is the CERN facility in Geneva.
Yeah.
That's what it's this giant facility, and there's a giant fucking. I would assume that it probably was some type of particle accelerator type of machine. It's a. God, what is it called now? The name of the. We'll get to it.
The thing in Geneva?
No, not that. Not that Large Hadron. The one in Half-Life. The thing that Gordon puts it into.
Oh, God, I don't remember, but I remember them like calibrating it.
Yeah.
So basically, you're this dude rolling into this facility that's huge, and you're like one of the top scientists.
Yeah,
right?
it's like your fucking day at work. Your regular day at work is what you're doing.
Yeah, and they're pumping you like the whole time you're going there. They've got this voice on the tram, like just saying this stuff that's so funny when he's coming in.
Well, it's just like the cafeteria.
Yeah,
will be closed Wednesday night. The temperature outside above the level.
Something I wanted to mention was they talk about like a hazard field, like fatal running decathlon or something.
Yeah,
where, like you had to put your life at risk to like just get this trophy from work.
work trophy. Basically, so Gordon, you're kind of like starting your day. You go into the facility. There's some man banging on a door who actually ends up being a character later on that you pass by. Look up the name of the machine that they do the material test with.
Okay,
I'll go on with this. And, you sign in the front desk. Oh, Mr. Freeman, you sign in here. Oh, yes, they're waiting for you in the lab. Blah, blah, blah. In the analysis lab. Blah, blah, blah. So you
Go ahead. Sorry.
What were you going to say?
There's some lines that they drop that's supposed to be just like casual conversation. That's just, they're so great.
Oh, yeah.
There's one where a scientist is like completely frustrated because someone's like, oh, I know. When did Office Space come out, by the way? Because it seems like a lot of the stuff they're saying, they're pulling from that.
Around that time,
the guy
period, 97.
Okay, because the guy was like, I'm going to need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow on Friday.
Yeah.
And the scientist is like, and he's getting all frustrated. He's like, I've got plans. And the guy goes, I know. He's like, don't worry about it, Henry. You can catch the convention or the next convention. Like, all he wanted to do is go to like some nerdy scientist convention. He can't
symposium.
Yeah.
On quantum physics. But yeah. So Gordon Freeman, you go in there, and one of your first tasks is to put on your hazardous containment suit. HEV suit, and it's supposed to be like, so you can go into the radioactive area and do your job. But it's basically your Halo Master Chief armor. And this is a great way of like, why are you wearing this stupid armor? Oh, because you're a fucking scientist and you need to go into the radioactive area.
Yeah, he was about to be playing with like some serious samples from like a different planet, and he had no idea what like it would do because it could just detonate right in front of his face.
Yeah,
and if he had no like protection, he was a dead man.
And so he goes into the lab. Something drops on the floor. He goes in the lab, and his job is, it's just really funny because they're like, oh, they're waiting for you in the lab, Freeman. And as your character, your player character, throughout the Half-Life games, you never hear your character talk. It's supposed to be you. It's supposed to be like directed at you and supposed to make you feel more in the character. So you go into the big giant room with this big giant spinning laser drill, and they're like, all right, push the material into the laser, and that's your job.
I'm still looking.
You're looking for it. I'm trying to find out figure out the name of what the thing is called, the room, the analysis machine. But it's basically, there's this crystal appears, and it's this yellow crystal, and you don't really know. It was just given to you somehow, given to the research facility, and you're analyzing it. And your job is to push this crystal into this laser. And it's really funny because basically you can't find it.
I'm not gonna. I mean, not without doing like a serious search.
Yeah,
but I was missing the show. I stopped listening to you. And just, buried into my phone.
Oh, never mind.
I think you got
anti-mass spectrometer is the name of it.
Now let me tell you a little something about that. I know what a mass spectrometer is.
Yeah.
So just from being in chemistry, I know that you essentially break something down into dust, and then you analyze what it's made of. Yeah, so you can figure out what its elemental components are. So an anti-mass spectrometer, I don't know what that would be.
I think it's science fiction mumbo jumbo. I don't really know. It's a little too complicated for me. But so you're... All right, so Dr. Gordon Freeman is an MIT graduate, and he has a PhD in theoretical...
This is your character.
Theoretical physics. And his thesis was entitled Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen entanglement on supraquantum structures by induction through nonlinear transuranic crystal of extremely long wavelength pulse from mode-locked source array.
Which you never get any of that from the game. They don't tell you that.
No, it's in Blue Shift, actually, I believe.
Someone says it in Blue Shift?
You go into Gordon Freeman's office and you see it. You see his diploma on the wall.
Just before we get off track, I'll just mention that Blue Shift and another game called Opposing Forces were downloadable content.
No, they were.
Well, I mean, essentially
they were downloadable.
They were actually they're actual discs at the time you had to buy
expansion packs.
Expansion packs. Yeah, you could have like new missions and different characters.
Yeah, and it was basically just Half-Life with a new character and a little bit of a new story of the character. But basically, that long thesis, translates to teleportation of matter through the use of extremely dense elements. So this motherfucker has a PhD from MIT with his thesis paper being about how to teleport shit through walls, and his job is push this cart into this laser.
You know what?
It's supposed to be like this great thing of these people, like you do all this stuff and you try to achieve what people want you to achieve, and you're just a fucking monkey pushing a button.
Yeah. There's so many motifs in the game, like where, just like you just said, like they're kind of making fun of the intellectual institution.
They do in a great way.
Yeah,
because it's very intellectual people who made this game.
Yeah. There's something that I want to... There's a line I want to mention that as soon as you walk in to push this sample into the mass spectrometer...
Anti-mass spectrometer.
Anti-mass spectrometer. The guy who opens the door, he's like, "Oh, Freeman, I see you cut the ponytail." And he walks off under his breath. He goes, "Sell out."
Oh, really? Yeah. That's great. So then there's basically like, it's just a huge room that you're in by yourself, and there's this giant machine. The anti-mass spectrometer is spinning and making all this noise. You're supposed to put this crystal in there. And the other scientists, it's actually the other scientists are...
The two main ones, right?
It's Dr. Eli Vance and Dr. Isaac Kleiner are the two main ones.
They're essentially watching Gordon push this thing.
Watch it. And they're like, any moment now, Gordon, put it in.
That voice, too, is it's so classic. It's like, "Oh, well, okay, Freeman, we're going to go ahead and start the machine." It's like,
any moment.
It's almost like making fun of the classic, like, 1940s scientists, like the way they would portray them in movies. And, like, it almost reminds me of the voices you hear on, like, that propaganda for, like, atomic... radiation. It won't hurt your children. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
So He pushes this thing into the machine, and of course there's a problem.
Well, it's not just a problem. It causes something called a resonance cascade,
which is fictitious. It's fictitious. Well, they have no proof that it exists.
Well, I definitely found
I bet you did. He's found some document, some manifesto.
You see
some
this
guys
you
written
see this
online.
math? Some guy on some website on Commons, Commons Wiki. I don't know if this is some dude's fun, but his name is Krishna Veldella, and he published this on May 19th, 2001. But it's a mathematical equation for a resonance cascade, and geometric. And his definition of it is geometric construction for mathematical explanation of spirograph. Which I just accept. I accept that is like canon to the resonance cascade. But what the resonance cascade does, it opens a dimensional rift, and between 3 or 4 different planes of existence or different dimensions, and not just a rift. It creates the portal storms, and these storms rage across the Earth. You don't know this in the game. This is all like. I don't even know, you've kind of like, throughout the game, there's a scientist that'll say 1 or 2 things, and you kind of piece it together from
That's why I like the game, though.
There's like a few newspapers on the wall, especially in the second. And the second one is really when you start learning what happened at Black Mesa.
I like the game because it really puts you in the spot of an actual person.
It makes you, it's like, say aliens invaded the world. What would you as a human being be like doing? Would you be at
Not
work?
only that, but what would you know about it?
What would you know about it?
Shit.
You wouldn't know shit what was going on. And the best part is you're the one who causes it.
Yeah, like you're at the epicenter of this whole like shitstorm that's going to cause like so many changes in the planet Earth for the next 100 years. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, it completely changes all human thought process. And it's just crazy. Like, it's so complicated. I'm trying to like think of like what to say.
Basically, we can put it in layman terms. So we like to get into the details, which we will a little bit.
Yeah.
But essentially, you're a scientist. You're working at a station. You get a sample that they want to run. They want to test what it's made of, and it's literally just a giant rock. It looks like a giant amber rock.
Yeah.
And they push it
uranium type of thing.
And they push it into this machine, and lightning bolts and craziness starts going all over the place, and you don't. Excuse me. You don't know what's going on, and it looks just like a giant portal, like where someone would walk through it, like a teleport. You know, like someone.
Yeah, well, and then I forgot that you're automatically teleported to the Zen world.
There's shit going off, and then you're teleported to another planet, and you see an alien, and it's like crazy.
You're not kind of talking to you. They're like, yeah. They're called the Vortigaunts, and they have 1 eye and 3 arms.
Yeah, and you don't know what's happening, and then it puts you back in the room where you started, right?
Yeah, and it's all like destroyed.
Yeah, it's like hazard lights are going off. Yeah, straight up like aliens atmosphere. Like you don't
containment breach, and it's just like shit is hitting the fan. The whole facility is exploding and blowing up,
and that sucks you in, dude. Like if you're just in the game, you're like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, how old were you when you first played that game? I mean, I think I was 11. 12?
Yeah, something like that. So your imagination just runs,
and
crazy.
That was at the time the graphics for the game were top notch, good stuff. And it sells you, and there's just like, well, there's chapters to the games, and the chapters have titles.
Were there chapters in the first one though?
There was chapters in the first one because the first chapter is called Unforeseen Consequences.
I do remember that now.
And that is a common theme throughout the Half-Life universe. Prepare for unforeseen consequences.
Yeah.
It's the game is definitely like runs off of chaos theory.
It's also a lampoon of like just the scientific community in general, how they like how they're screwing with stuff they shouldn't be screwing with.
And even when shit gets worse and like the world is cascading around them, no pun intended, they're taking notes. And they're going, it's the ever-present
let me get my notepad.
And he's just like, oh, well, let me see. Oh, this alien over here, he's got this, and then the alien kills him, and he just like blows up.
You'll also see like instances where like aliens are destroying different things across the Earth.
Yeah.
And this is like way later on, but they're like sitting there being like, Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like, is it though? Because like they're destroying your civilization. Yeah.
Resonate throughout the universe.
The first game is all about the Black Mesa incident, like the Black Mesa.
That's what it's called
problem.
too, and that's what it's referred to as later on in the history of that universe. It's the Black Mesa incident.
Yeah, and that's essentially what causes all the problems. So now you've got, of course, in the future, you've got portals opening up all over the Earth, dropping random aliens all over the place.
We'll get to that like when we get to 2.
Okay,
let's talk about 1 here for a second.
For now, it's what?
I mean, I don't even think we're really talking about 2. It's more like a history of what happens. So it rips open dimensional holes in Earth, and it connects it to a place called Zen, which is like a slingshot world that you can use to go to other dimensions. And there's another dimension known as Race X. I don't really talk about that much. That's more in like Opposing Force and Blue Shift, the expansion packs. But then there's another world, and it's the Combine home world. And you don't know about the Combine until Half-Life 2. But essentially what happens is when all these portal storms are going off during Black Mesa, it's kind of the end of the world. And you don't know it, really. What happens is this sentient race from another dimension called the Combine uses these portal storms to gain their way into Earth. Because the Combine... They use a tunneling dimensional travel where they like rip through shit and can only go into one direction. But once they get to Earth, they can't transport themselves. They can't because it's like, oh, you're going to a new place and you don't understand the physics. You don't have vehicles to use and whatnot. So their goal is to like they've seen that this human race, our race, has figured out a way to make portals anywhere and go anywhere in the world instead of tunneling through to another dimension. And they want that technology. And the Combine wants to steal this technology to build an interdimensional empire known as the Universal Union and dominate the multiverse. None of this is in the game. Yeah, I don't know how I know this stuff. Like, you can go online and read it. They barely talk about it, and it's almost like in passing is when characters talk about it.
Let me ask you this.
You'll be entering a room, and you'll hear people talking from a distance, and you'll catch a little bit of it.
When did you do the majority of this research? Like, when did you personally find out most of this information? When you researched it for the show, right? Or did you just like know all this stuff?
It was like
some of it.
There was basic knowledge of it, but definitely doing some research for it.
Right. I remember sending you a text message because I had started the research before you did.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because I was just digging through all this stuff and I had never heard of any of this stuff. And then I was like, dude, I was like, just go look up some of the stuff because I think you had said something along the lines of there's
no story. Well,
there's not much story. And I was like, dude,
there isn't much.
Go online. And this is what he has come back with. All the stuff he's been telling me.
Oh, I forgot how rich the story was to this game. So basically, the Combine come in and there's a 7-hour war, and within 7 hours, the Combine completely subdue the American population.
The world population.
The world population. They just like everybody's fucked because they're just that powerful, and they essentially they look like big maggots floating around little like 0G suits wrapped around their bodies.
Aren't like all the human soldiers that they have? Aren't they all like human?
The Combine?
No,
the
like
Combine
the soldiers, the civil protection, and all.
The civil protection. They're transhuman. They're humans that have been captured and then run AI programs and like a genetic and cybernetic.
I always thought that they called them the Combine because they were combining like other races.
That's what it is.
Okay, all right, cool.
It's supposed to be like combine, like a combine as in a farming equipment that tears up your field and like processes stuff.
They don't even.
But
make
also
an appearance.
combine as in combination. No, that's because you've never played You didn't play the 2 episodes.
No. They don't make an appearance till the second game, right?
They don't make an appearance till they don't even. They're not even mentioned in the first
game. Yeah,
it's kind of retconned in a way. It doesn't really. What retconning is, if you don't know, it's like it's hard to give an example, but somebody doesn't say something in their first movie, and then and doesn't explain something, and then in the second movie they come up with a new idea that's really good, and they're like, "Oh, well, this is why it happened." It's just like
so it's like almost erasing something from the first game, and
or taking something from the first game and making it better.
Because I remember from the first game, it was a lot of like different little aliens and stuff. Mainly, you're running into these things called head crabs. They jump on your head.
basically like a face hugger. Turns people into zombies.
Yeah, and they turn you into just like a lifeless husk that they walk around and
then there's the Vortigaunts. And
you're right,
they're enemies in the first one.
Yeah. And there's no
well, there's the giant tentacle. It's basically like what it did was Zen, when the portal storm started ooh shit, I just really hit that. Sorry, audience. When the portal storms happen, Zen just starts feeding into our world, and like not just, you know,
one type of
fauna, but flora. Like it just starts. It's a lot of stuff like War of the Worlds type of every science fiction like film and movie up to that point is very like referenced, but it kind of just starts invading our world. It starts
invading Black Mesa, at least at first.
Well, as far as you know, it's only invading Black Mesa, but what's really happening is...
Was it all over the world?
It was all over the world at that same time. Like, the entire world was falling apart.
He fucked up everything.
He fucked up everything.
Could you imagine, like, thinking about that if you were Gordon, though, going back and being like, damn, I wish I never pushed that thing.
I should have never went to work today.
Yeah.
You know? Well, it's really the G-Man who gave it to him. And that's the thing I don't understand. Like, that's the one thing. So there's another character called... He's never referred to as the G-Man. The only thing he's ever referred to as our mutual friend.
Yeah, he's like a dude walking around like the whole game. You know,
classic government officials.
Yeah, and there's
like,
a catastrophe happening, right? Shit's burning, blowing up, and every now and then you'll see this dude walk around in a straight up suit with a briefcase,
straighten his tie,
every time he sees you. You can't ever. Then they always put him in a position where you can't touch him.
You can't shoot him, or you can't. Yeah,
it's like he's watching Gordon walk around.
Yeah,
and so we think he's the one who like purposely
he gave them the crystal. They talk about it in Half-Life 2 episode 2.
Okay.
They gave it to Eli Vance, and what happened was before Gordon pushed the sample into the anti-mass spectrometer, he whispered into Eli Vance's ear, "Prepare for unforeseen consequences." So, and they never get into like who he is. It's almost like he's a lizard person, you know, that the idea of the lizard people and they control the world.
I read something that said that they think he might have been intentionally trying to start a war. But they don't really know why.
I almost think that he's closer to Terrence McKenna's self-dribbling, transforming machine elves.
What?
The concept with like under heavy doses of hallucinogens, you'll see anthropomorphic creatures that will tell you, "Hey, let me show you something. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you the library of the universe. I'm going to show you how the world really works."
I got you. You just kind of needed to explain.
Yeah, that your reducing valve doesn't allow in. There's so much stuff being pumped into your eyes and through. Yeah, I'm going to get on a tangent here.
I got you. I know what you're talking about. Don't go crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to.
You gotta keep the reins.
But it kind of seems like that's what he is. Like he's kind of a mischief maker.
Yeah,
and he kind of just there's no reason. Like, why would he do that? And why would he take Freeman? Because at the end of the first game,
he's got this look on his face where he looks like he knows what he did.
He knows exactly.
He's like the kid who like is pulling a prank and he's watching from the corner of the room,
and he knows what's going to happen. He knows the pratfalls. He knows the timing. He knows, and everything's going perfectly to plan.
Yeah, and he's just eating it up.
He's just loving it. It's like his own little like TV show,
which is weird because he's, at least from the way you see him, he just looks like a dude, like a man. I mean, he just looks like a nobody,
fucking senator or like some skinny like. I always thought he actually looked like an older version of you.
Oh, I appreciate it.
He kind of does.
I'm glad you told me that before we kept the insults going. Skinny, nasty looking.
So, unbeknownst to you, I guess beknownst to you, there's a character that works at Black Mesa. He's actually your advisor. He's the administrator of the building, and his name is Dr. Wallace Breen. And what happens is after this 7-hour war that the Combine commit on Earth,
should close like the first game though, right? Gordon gets out of Black Mesa.
Well, this is happening like during the events of Black Mesa type of shit.
All right. I thought you were just going into 2.
No. This is there's like as the Black Mesa the shit is going on and the 7-hour war happens. Somehow Dr. Breen negotiates peace with the Combine. I don't know why. I don't know
He's a fucking scientist, man.
Because he's a scientist at Black Mesa.
And
the Combine must have showed up. And
they needed
to
a spokesperson to represent your race. So when you're getting enslaved, you don't mind
kill everyone.
it that much.
They kill everyone in Washington, I think. And
well, yeah.
And then they make Dr. Wallace Breen interim administrator of Earth.
Yeah.
Which basically makes him
sense to me.
the ruler of Earth.
Yeah.
And I think what actually happened was a large portal opened up in Eastern Europe, and that's where Stage 17 is. We'll get to that, though, once we get to 2.
But Breen, I feel like, knew what was going on.
I think he knew more than anybody else. I think he knew more than Eli Vance and Dr. Kleiner.
Breen's the head of Black Mesa, basically, right?
He was the administrator. Whenever they're talking about, like, oh, the administrator's a dick or whatever, especially in the beginnings of the game there, that's who they're talking about. It's Dr. Wallace Breen.
I like
your
Breen.
boss.
Breen's so funny.
He's an ass. He's such an
Who
ass.
did his voice? Do you have that down?
No.
I'll get it.
Find it. I'll go on. So basically, the first game is you making your way through the facility, trying to escape, kind of help and save some people. And at some point, they're like, "We figured out there's some. Oh, we've closed the resonance cascade, but it's not closing." And you're like, "What? Something is holding it open on the other side." So near the end of the game,
that thought in and of itself is scary.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is not letting that thing close?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that freaks me out.
What's going on?
Hearing that line freaks me out.
And what it is, it's the Nihilith or something. It's very hard to pronounce. It looks like a floating baby with a giant head. And that's the final boss of the game. But you go through the rift, this portal that they're holding open, and it's going to close behind you, and you're never going to get back to Earth. And you basically sacrifice yourself. Gordon Freeman's a good man, especially since he's the one who caused it all. And you fight this giant boss, and I mean the game's amazing. It's a great fun game. It's a lot of silence. There's a lot of the game sets up chaos very well. Whereas the beginning game, it's you walking to work and like coworkers talking to you. Oh, hello, Freeman. Nice day, isn't it? Blah, blah, blah. And then all this crazy shit happens. And then there's a lot of lulls, and it kind of lulls you into this false sense of security. And then, oh my God, all of a sudden the facility's being bombarded by the U.S. government, military forces, and the military forces are fucking killing everyone. And that's, you see the faces clip out? That's Breen. He's, so funny. Andrew just showed me it's supposed to be like a staff photo of the scientists in the research room.
And Breen's face was like scratched out.
Yeah. Well, you see that poster in Half-Life 2. It's in Dr. Kleiner's office or in his little research area.
I know he's like I'm trying to look up the guy who does Breen's voice because I think he did like an amazing job. Yeah. So I'm trying to look it up, but they're not making it easy. So that's why I'm kind of quiet here. I should have done this damn shit. I had notes on a notepad on my computer, but I didn't print it out.
Yeah.
I should have printed it out.
It's okay. We'll figure it out. So, yada, yada, yada. You go through this game, and like I said, it's that sense of, like, there's a lot of moments where you're just walking through an empty research building on the facility, and maybe you'll hear, like, a laser beam going off in the distance. And as you go through the hallways, this electrical sound, this bzz, 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 becomes and louder and louder, and then eventually you're into a room and there's lasers going off, and it's like a puzzle where you have to figure out how to get through the room. Great game, great reuse of first person puzzle mechanics, and like it has a very feeling of solidarity in the game where you're alone a lot. And
there's people around, but then they still feel like there's nobody with you.
Yeah, because either they die really quickly or they're like, I'm going to stay here, Freeman, and help some people out. And it really is just a game of people like, let's get the fuck out of here. What the hell is going on? So you get to the end of the game, you go to Zen, you fight the and
that's so funny. That's the way it looks when it's spelled too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like NIHLLHLITH. It's like what?
And it's this grueling boss battle at the end too.
Okay, so Dr. Breen is voiced by Robert Culp. He was he's done a ton of stuff, but I know he's been in some like comedies and stuff. He died a while back because he was on his bike or something and like hit a curb and smashed his head. So if they use him again, they're gonna have to recast him, which sucks because
he's dead.
Yeah, he sounds so. Well, yeah, you don't really know.
You don't really know.
He sounds like the quintessential condescending
scientist
doctor. Like, well, who's just trying to like dumb things down for
because you're too simple to understand. These,
so when he's talking
concepts
to you, he's almost doing
you
this.
Just can't wrap your mind around it.
Well, see, this is why we have to do this because you, as a human being, are ignorant.
Yeah,
like he won't say that, but that's
you're full
his message.
You have too many emotions. Yeah. It's almost like a Vulcan talking.
Yeah, it's good.
Like you're not using logic and and I mislabeled it as the military forces. It's actually it has just environmental combat unit.
Death Squad.
Yeah,
that's all I hear.
So you fight your way through them. You know, you kill a bunch of aliens. Blah blah blah. I mean, the whole facility itself and like the idea of doorways opening at a experiment going wrong is very much ripped from Stephen King's The Mist. It's basically that's the story of it. A lot of the tentacle monsters, a lot of the monsters from it, very much from his novella story.
You mentioned something yesterday that I liked because we were talking about the culture of like speedrunning games and like how there's literally a website called speedrun.com where people just try to break records.
Yeah.
And you can look up Half-Life, and the best people are able to do is like what,
it's
3
like
hours,
2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, which if you know these guys, that's a long time because these dudes will do games.
It's a long game.
Yeah, and you can't
rush through it.
Yeah,
like
if you rush through it, you'll die.
Like, I'll just run through this. Like you can't because you're gonna be stepping on the middle rail of a tram, and you're gonna get electrocuted. Like it's impossible to do. And
the giant monsters with like the knife noses. Remember those things? The tentacle monsters.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get by them if you try to. They make a point. They show you a video of a security guard getting impaled. Remember? Yeah, like they're like, okay, go ahead.
You have to crouch. You can't make noise.
Yeah, you got to crouch.
They'll
like
you.
They
kill you fast.
Are they using? I always thought like they're basically like a snake with like a knife as a nose. I mean, that sounds stupid, but it's not. It's just it's got like a really like a rhinoceros is better. Is a better.
It's
example,
just like a long tentacle with a talon on the end.
Yeah, on its nose. Yeah. And it's tapping. Like you hear them like
before you even get there. It's that sense of like you're all quiet and you've gone through some crazy shit already at this point, and then you're like, oh, it's everything quiets down. The game doesn't use music very much. It
uses it very, very seldomly.
After you kill a boss or something like that.
Or you go into a new open area.
A new open area, and it's like, but it's only like a few notes, like a few notes.
And when you put on the suit.
When you put on the suit or when the helicopter's shooting at you but it's been silent for a while and you're going towards this silo to make your way through the facility and you just start hearing bang, 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 bang. And as you get closer, it's bang, 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 bang. And it's these tentacles knocking against this metal silo.
Yeah.
And you have to start the engines on the jet to like burn them away. And there's another mission in the game. They're not even really missions. It's just like you kind of just do these things as you're moving through the game.
They're trying to get to the Lambda Lab, remember?
Yeah.
And the Lambda Lab is like a part of Black Mesa. It's a subdivision where these scientists are mostly still alive, like most of their team. And they think that if you can get there, if Gordon can get there, they can figure out a way to close the portal that's in Mesa.
They shoot a satellite into space.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. And that's what you do in the game is you put a satellite in space and they close it, but something is holding it open. And that's the Nihilith. And
the boss.
Once you kill it, once you get to the end of the game, like you go to the other dimension, you kill it, basically the game just kind of ends. And it's a very anticlimactic game.
No, what's his name get you?
No, but you kill the boss and then basically the boss is dying and the screen goes black. And then you're on Zen, and then G-Man is walking towards you, and then it goes black again. So basically, it's like G-Man has the ability to transport people wherever the fuck he wants them at any time. And you're in a tram like you are in the beginning of the game, but this tram is like going at the speed of light through hyperspace, like in this blackness. And he gives you a choice. G-Man gives you a choice: join me or face death. And you get the choice. It's like you either sit there and wait, or you get off the tram. If you get off the tram, you just go into like a room with like every enemy in the game, and you just you just die. Like you can't survive. But you basically canonical sense of the word,
Canonically.
You
said it right. Canonically, you have to go with him.
You have to go with him, and that's how the game ends. And the game just ends, and it goes, burp, that's it. It's very much a journey type of game. The endings are very lackluster, and I like that. I think it works.
But I don't know, because it kind of gives you like a little bit of a feeling of, oh, fuck.
Of helplessness.
Huh? Well, no, it's like, what is this guy? What does he want me to do?
What does he want me to do?
What does this psycho that's been following me around and probably caused this problem want me to do?
So he takes you, and the game ends, and then a few years later, Half-Life 2 came out. And then when Half-Life 2 came out, it was big. Between that, there was Opposing Force and Blue Shift. Opposing Force, you're one of the hazardous combat unit guys named Adrian Shepard. And in Blue Shift, which came out, which is the third expansion, you're Barney Calhoun.
That's my favorite.
Really?
I love Blue Shift.
Blue Shift is really good.
Yeah.
Because it's short and sweet.
Had the graphical update.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, okay.
But it was short and sweet, too.
It wasn't long.
Like Half-Life, the first time I played Half-Life, I think it was a 12-hour game.
Yeah, Half-Life took... I don't know, might be my age, maybe.
But also every time I play a game for the first time, I look at everything. Well, examine everything. Look at every nook and cranny.
It's part of that Resident Evil. I really think it's because of Resident Evil.
It's because of Resident Evil, but it's also because I want to go to that world.
Well, sure.
I want to explore that world.
You're always going to have that natural tendency.
There's 1,500 people or more created this game. They created this world, and every speck of thing that exists in that game was created by somebody. It was basically hand painted in there. And I want to see their work. I want to appreciate their fucking work and see what they did. Some dude fucking probably got divorced because of this shit. Like it happens, man. People have kids. Like games take 4 years to make. Like especially back then when you're making a game like that. And Half-Life 2 took about 4. Well, I totally forgot. Do you remember the source code leak?
Yeah,
the game was going to come out, and then there was a leak for the source code, and then they redid the entire game because of it.
Yep.
Which I think helped the game. And
so basically, just so we can stay back on track, Blue Shift and Opposing Force were just different perspectives. So Blue Shift, you were a security guard in Black Mesa, and then Opposing Force, you were one of those military hazardous death squad guys trying to wipe everything out there.
And I like that one because of the whole, there was the team thing, there would be different team members, and you could help me do this. You go up to them, you hit spacebar or something or enter.
Yeah, and they do something.
They'd follow you. Yeah. And I also love the idea of the crowbar. Whereas
which we didn't even mention.
But
the crowbar is
the first weapon you pick up.
Yeah. He's running a maintenance tunnel or something, and he sees it, and then you pick it up.
Laying there in front of a broken door, and that's
okay.
You break the door open.
And then from then on, forever for the rest of the series, he's got this crowbar.
It's kind of
even in the second one when they find Gordon,
they throw it.
He's like Barney sees him and
Barney.
He goes, "Hey, you dropped this back at
hold on, let's stay off. All right,
go ahead."
So in 2004 is when Half-Life 2 came out. They started production on Half-Life 2 the month that Half-Life 1 came out in 98. Do the math on that. That's 6 years of development. That's a long time.
But you know what, though? It still comes out great, though.
Oh, it's one of the greatest games
we just
made.
Popped it in Chad's 360 and played it for 5 minutes, and it looks. If you compare it to something now, you'll see a difference, but it's well overplayable.
Doesn't look much different than say a downloadable game on PlayStation Network.
Yeah,
so it's.
Which is impressive, dude. It's almost 10 years old.
And I think that has to do a lot with why they haven't made a third one, because they still they haven't been able to make that graphical leap like they did from the first one to this one.
It's not only that. I think
and just Valve has been so busy with Steam that
if you think about
and other games, Portal, and
if you think about how much work they put into this story, clearly, even though it wasn't in the game, they're probably still fleshing it out.
They built such a fucking world. Well, I also think they're waiting for VR to be really good. I think they want to do that too.
Yeah,
for 3. So 2 starts off, and it's a blackness, and you see the G-Man's face, and he goes, "Wakey, wakey, Mr. Freeman."
I remember that being groundbreaking too, because his face
looked amazing.
Yeah, he looked so fucking real.
It's one of those games. Even I still have yet to see a game where they can get the eyes right. because there's no uncanny valley in this game. You know, when the uncanny valley is basically like if AI or like a video game is so realistic looking that it creates like a nauseous, unsettling feeling in your body. Yeah. That's called uncanny valley. Because it shouldn't exist. Like, you know it doesn't exist. But you know it's not real.
It's messing with you,
but it's fucking with your brain.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know there's a term for that.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Look it up. It's great. There's so much good. A lot of science.
That's happened a few times.
And yeah, and Half-Life is the one in the games that were like they did the eyes so well that it didn't create a sense of uncanny valley. A good example of people cite as the uncanny valley is the Polar Express CGI film that came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of the dead eye look that happens, that's a big part of it.
Interesting.
So, wakey, Mr. Freeman, Half-Life 2 starts. It's 20 years later. You've
not aged.
You've not aged a bit, and your recollection of time has gone for, it's like a 5-second difference from the end of Half-Life 1 to Half-Life 2. You've been in stasis or something. You don't even really know what happens. It's basically like Half-Life 1 ends, you blink, it's 20 years later, Half-Life 2 starts. And you don't know what the fuck is, and you're riding on a tram, riding into some place called City 17.
Which really makes you feel for Gordon, because like his nightmare didn't end.
Yeah.
It's in 2 parts.
It's in 2 parts. And he's just, what the fuck? And they're like forcing him, they're like, G-Man says like, you're needed again. I'm like, well, needed for what? Who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
And you're on this tram, and the first thing you hear is the voice of Dr. Wallace Breen, who is now administrator of Earth, ruler over Earth.
Who drops one of my favorite all-time lines in a video game. When you're walking in, he's like welcoming you to this place called City 17, and he's essentially saying, well, welcome to City 17. You've chosen or been chosen to take part. Just that piece is so good.
Because he knows you haven't chosen.
Yeah. Everybody's slaves at this point, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, they are being used as slaves. It's almost like they're setting up a matrix to use humans as power. Well, they're just trying to figure out the way that humans use that interdimensional travel because the Combine want to exploit it.
I remember a guy saying they were putting something in the water, too, to make, like, humans...
Dr. Breen's Special Reserve.
Yeah.
That's the name of the water. Like, there's vending machines all over the city.
I remember those,
and they're entitled Dr. Breen's Special Reserve.
And it's just, like, some damn brainwashing water.
It gets you ready for the transhuman... transformation
and so that you don't remember like what life used to be like.
It's like
a classic.
It's just like it's so in depth. Like it's just the water. Like if you go on and do research into it, like what his water had to do. There's just so many little things that they don't talk about in the game that
you don't hear about it. The only reason I know about that is because I was doing what you said, this like walk around exploring, and there's this dude like he was grabbing his head like looking like he's got like a migraine or something, sitting at this picnic table way off to the side.
Drink the water and then you forget. You wake up, you don't remember. You go to sleep and you don't forget, and then you walk in there and you forget.
Yeah, and he's freaking out.
Like going on about it.
And there's another guy in the corner who's like looking at him and he's like, "Don't drink the water."
Yeah. I remember. I just got chills on my arm just thinking about it.
Because he says he's like, don't drink the water.
It has such an unsettling feeling. Like you now, if you were to go back to play it, it almost looks like, oh, this is just ripping off every film that's come out of the past 10 years, all the dystopian movies and stuff. Yeah. But really, they owe it to Half-Life, and Half-Life did that dystopian setting, that 1984 George Orwellian like setting, so perfect. Well. And when you finally like get out of the train station and see in the city, there's this giant black obelisk of a tower called the Citadel in the middle of the city, and this is,
I don't remember it being black. I thought it was like
it's kind of like
a sheen white looking type of like
no
not white but like
it's like a bluish gray.
It looks like, if you've ever seen you ever seen the Phantom Menace, it looks like Padme Amidala's ship.
No, not at all.
Sure it does.
No, it doesn't. You're completely retarded.
That's what I thought it looked like.
I'm gonna look it up for you right now. It's like black. Well, it's kind of got a blue look to it.
He's like literally pulling up an image on the computer. Don't close out the recording though.
No, why would I close out the recording? What? That's it. It's like a blue.
It looks blue.
It's like a cobalt blue.
Yeah, there you
go. Made of metal, and it's. I think it's I wonder if I can see. Oh, it's a mile and a half high into the sky. It's fucking huge, and it's kind of like self-transforming, and there's all these cables that run to it.
It just looks like this monstrosity that is clearly the only thing not man-made sitting right in the middle of this quote city.
The Combine built it in this. You're in an Eastern European city. You're obviously not in America.
Well, we got to make this clear though. They say the Combine as a all-encompassing term.
Yeah.
But it's really just those maggot things. As
far as we know, though.
Yeah.
That could just be like the bureaucrats of the Combine.
Yeah.
For all we know, that's what it is. And they're at Earth because what the Combine is doing is they're draining the resources of Earth. They're taking all the water, like all the water levels have gone down, which is a great motif in the game when you see the seas for the first time, and there's all the ships like.
Just
so much
shipwrecked ships sitting on the thing.
And so City 17, which lets you know there's other cities around the world probably that might have some type of thing. But they've also, what they've done is around the Citadel and around the City 17, they've set up a stasis field, which has made everyone sterile. Like you can't reproduce. And
they're trying to incorporate the human race into the Combine, right?
They're trying to make them into transhuman slaves.
Yeah,
but they're not trying to like incorporate them.
I should have clarified that, but yeah. But they do have the soldiers that are walking around. You might want to mention those a little bit. The civil protection, which is fucking brilliant. Yeah,
fucking brilliant.
They'll break into rooms like in the game. People will be like, civil protection, run! It's like, well, what? Like,
there's that whole great scene where you. In the building, and you're running
and they're
from
just,
them,
like stun batoning the fuck out of everybody. You just hear
like bullets whizzing by you. Here, get in this room here, and the dude's leaning against the door. You're Freeman, right?
Yeah.
Go through there. Wow, you haven't aged a bit, or just like that, and
because people will see him that knew him from Black Mesa later on.
Yeah.
And he like looks just like he did.
Basically, like you arrive in the city in a tram, and it's kind of a similar thing. You don't have a weapon, you don't have a suit or anything, and you're basically just walking around.
Which is strange, though, that he didn't show up with a suit or weapon because he was stasist. So I wonder, like, how they. I don't know. It's like that. My mind starts doing that. Like I think
I think he lost his stuff. I think like he was just taking out of his own clothes. For all I know.
I know, you don't know. Nobody knows.
You don't know. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't, but I'm just saying that's what the game will do to you. Like,
that's what,
you find yourself going through it and you're asking questions like as you play, like, what the fuck was that? Or how did that happen?
Yeah. But basically you're going through this and you kind of get herded into a line that's like through a metal detector, and you're going to be like processed by civil protection.
Wait. I got to say this. There's one great line. You guys have to go on YouTube and type in Half-Life 2, pick up that can.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life, dude.
Good.
You're standing there before you go to this metal detector. There's this Combine soldier standing there.
Civil protection soldier.
Yeah, and there's a Coke can or something on the trash can, and he sees you walking up, and just for no other reason other than just to F with you, he knocks the can off the trash can and looks at you, and he's like, pick up that can. And it's just staring at you, and you've got the option to pick it up, put it in the trash can, don't pick it up, or pick it up and throw it at him.
Yeah.
And two of them get the shit beat out of you.
Chasing you can
run away and he'll chase you, but the idea is you're supposed to pick it up, put it back in the trash can, and then he just goes, yeah, good.
And it's almost it's a training thing because it's training you
to listen to them.
It's a training. It's a game tutorial because it's showing you how to use the action button.
Yeah,
but it's also like it's a great sense of showing you how helpless you are. In a
like you
lets you know you're just playing a video game and you're just pushing buttons and you're doing what we're telling you to do.
Yeah,
it just works on so many levels that there's a reason that like if you type in Half-Life into Google, you're gonna get a lot of stuff. This game is very well loved by its fan base. It's a fucking cult. I wouldn't say it's a cult following, but it's become more of a cult following because they've neglected Half-Life for so long now, and people have been clamoring for a third one.
It's like the StarCraft of FPS.
Yeah.
I mean, people fucking absolutely love StarCraft, and they didn't make a new one for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then when they did, it was amazing. And now here we sit, almost 10 years again removed from StarCraft 2, and they're finally putting out the last. They just put out the last expansion pack like a couple months ago.
Yeah, exactly. But we're never gonna get Half-Life 3, so you might as well just move on.
You never know, man.
I kind of want it.
Stay 2.
I kind of want it. The third one.
You don't?
Yeah.
Or you do?
I don't.
Oh,
I don't think they can top 2.
If you put the same people in the same positions,
one
or
writers
close
left
to
already.
it. Damn.
He left Valve, like a couple months ago.
That sucks.
Uh-huh.
That really sucks.
I don't know what it had to do with. Maybe, I don't know. Probably didn't. I want to say there's some Half-Life stuff
Been
going
there for
on.
almost 20 years, though, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he probably was just leaving.
He's probably just wanted a fucking new job or something.
Yeah.
He's bored. But
He left because he didn't make fucking Half-Life, dude.
Yeah. So you go through this metal detector, and they're basically like, there's this clicking sound, and there's all these different like surveillance equipment. The game's very rich in its environments.
I'm not trying to stop the narrative here, but
What?
I feel compelled to say this. The
What?
fucking things that float around.
Yeah.
And just randomly take your picture. They go tick, 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 and then you hear
Yeah, I
like
wish
it
I
took your
had,
picture and then
the
just
name
flies
of-
off. Like, what the? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell is that for?
They're great.
Yeah.
So awesome. And they're very bioorganic. It's a lot of bioorganic machinery type stuff. Striders and...
Is that one right there?
What? No, that's the core of the Citadel.
Oh, I can barely see it from here.
I don't know. This is why we need a better setup so I could like research
They
this
figure
while
out
we do
you're
this.
Freeman somehow, though, right? Isn't that
Well,
what happens?
What happens is, I'm trying to get to it and you keep
Go
cutting
ahead.
me off.
Go.
You get to that stupid metal detector and they take you into a surveillance room. They take you into basically like, and you walk past one room where some dude's getting beaten and you get put into another room and the security guard's like, I'll take her from here. And then the security guard's like, I got to turn the security off for this because I got some plans for this one. And he turns the security cameras off. And it's Barney Calhoun, the security guard from the first one. He's
From Blue Shift.
He's undercover, like as a civil protection officer, which I don't know how the fuck he figured that one out.
You also have to take appreciation into the fact that a lot of the guys in the first game, if you clicked on them enough, would cycle dialogue lines.
Yeah.
So one of the security guard lines was, hey,
Let's go
find
get
me
a
later.
beer."
I'll buy you a beer, right?
Yeah.
So then the first line Barney drops on you.
Well, after
takes
he
his
reveals
mask off,
himself
yeah.
as Barney. Well, as he's taking his mask off,
he's
he says,
like,
"How about that beer?
Yeah, how about that
I owe
beer
ya?"
I owed you? It's like,
And he goes, "It's me, Gordon, Barney," and he's kind of like a fleshed out character now, which is cool.
Yeah,
And-
he doesn't look like a model. Like
No.
he looks like his own.
Yeah. And he is like his, they refer to him as Barney and whatnot. And that's when the shit starts to hit the fan. Civil Protection shows up at the door there. And he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll just say you escaped. And you have to basically start escaping from then on. And Civil Protection is after you. And you somehow stumble onto a lab. Well, a girl, you get knocked unconscious, actually, and a girl helps you. And she goes, oh, you're Gordon Freeman. And she's the daughter of Dr. Eli Vance from the first game. And that's kind of when you realize that it's 20 years later. Because Dr.
'cause
Vance
she's
is
old,
older.
man.
And Dr. Kleiner's older. Except Dr. Kleiner looks exactly the same.
Yeah, he looks the same. And there's fucking people on Earth that do that. Like, you'll see him 15 years later. Like the fucking guy that plays Red on that 70s show.
Yeah.
He was in an X-Files episode in like 1996 that I was watching like a few weeks ago, and he looks exactly the same.
Oh, well, you can go watch like fucking God, isn't it some science fiction movie? It's some science fiction movie with Sean Connery about some prison in space, and he's in it.
Where Sean Connery just looks the same all the time.
No, the dude from Red Foreman.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his name.
He's a great actor.
He's a great actor. I wish I could know his name. He's got a cool name.
And now I have to look
You
it
gotta
up.
look it up.
Now I have to.
Damn it! Who cares? Figure it out though. I want to know. So yeah, then it just that's when it kind of turns into a video game, and they have this story, and you're supposed to like teleport to a new Lambda complex, basically like the Lambda facility. Different. There's kind of like a resistance going on against the Combine and Dr. Breen, and oh yeah, I forgot about. So the stasis field that's stopping everybody from breeding, it also stops everybody from
Leaving.
Well, it stops creatures, Zen creatures that have overtaken the world, from entering the city. Except for head crabs. And, well, a few head crabs. Ravenholm is really getting into it. And so, you go through well, you're supposed to, like, everybody teleports out, and then you're supposed to teleport out, and the machine breaks. And they go, well, Gordon, I guess you got to go the long way, so you got to travel through the city. Which is just so fun. Like, the city is well built, and basically since you started there, now that you've shown up again, and you're Gordon Freeman, referred to as the Free Man, which
is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
like every time I hear that, it blows my mind that they have that in there. It's
he's like kind of the there's like a cult of personality that's built up over him over the years.
Instead of calling him Freeman, it's like, oh, but the free man is coming. Like,
the free man.
It's like a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's fucking
He's
awesome.
like become a superhero, like a Batman almost.
With that's fucking
with
crazy,
his trusty
dude.
crowbar ready to smash some head crabs.
What was it? Oh, yeah, I remember now.
Red Foreman.
Yeah. I pulled my phone out to look this guy's name up, and then I ended up like just looking at other shit I wasn't supposed to. Couldn't even remember why I pulled it up.
Yeah, in here.
So that's really it, right?
Well,
like,
not really.
No. I mean, like what? Like that's the premise of the second one. Like
that's the startup of the of it.
But like, what did they send him off to do?
They send him to because you're supposed to go to meet up with Eli at the Lambda complex or some other like little secret complex they have within City 17's borders or limits. And well, they're trying to figure out a way to get rid of the Combine. That's what it is. And stop Breen, really. And they all talk about like, oh, I hated Breen even when we worked for him over at Black Mesa.
Kurtwood Smith.
Kurtwood Smith. That's Red Foreman. Great name, Kurtwood. Moving on.
Sorry,
No. I asked you to find it too.
All right, go ahead.
So you just play the game from there, and you start going on, and you're going to go to this other secret research facility, and the idea is that they think that they're going to use your genius, your Gordon Freeman's genius, to help figure out a way to close the portal. That's because there's basically a giant portal above the city that the Combine used to move in and out. Well, in a sense, I don't think it's really there yet. I don't think it.
Isn't that what the Citadel is like?
The Citadel is basically like
precipitating.
Yeah, it's basically like it's holding the energy field open. It's kind of like keeps. It's almost like an airport.
Yeah,
it's the way the Combine move in and out. And the Combine kind of like stay in like this hibernative state most of the time.
So you figure out that you basically, if you want to be,
you need
free
to destroy the
Combine,
Citadel.
Citadel's got to go.
The Citadel's got to go.
And that's like their. That's where Dr. Breen is. Mm-hmm. So this isn't like City 17 is like the capital of the world at this point. Yeah, because Breen is there. He's located there. I'm pretty sure the Citadel only exists in City 17. Like the other cities don't have one.
Yeah,
and they just use that as like a gateway. I'm looking at the map on your wall just because I'm in.
I would say like where it would be. It would either have.
I think it would be in France, dude.
I want to say
if it's Eastern European, that's the biggest landmass. It's not the biggest, but it's one of the biggest.
Well, it would either have to be that or on like the eastern coast of Russia, because there's a coast. There's definitely a coast in the game.
France has got a coast.
Yeah.
Right next to Britain.
Yeah, but it definitely seems more of a Slavic city.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking.
I'm only really saying that because of Father Grigori.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got the thick Slavic accent. So, but that's it. Yeah, well, they don't really say anything. That's kind of, it's almost like Gordon does never talk.
Just like everything else, they're very fucking vague about everything.
It's very vague, and it's kind of, it just adds to the mystery of it, and it kind of adds to the great atmosphere of it doing that.
Yeah. It plays like a, if you've never played it, I'm hoping that you've played it by now, but if you haven't played it, it plays like a really good fucking movie, but you're seeing it from one person's perspective, period.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to see all this other shit. Like even in video games, like if you play something else, you get a bigger piece of the pie. You're getting to see more that's happening. With this, you straight up are in, you feel like you're in Gordon's shoes. Blind. Yeah. And like you only know what Gordon knows.
Yeah. And he doesn't know much.
I can't think of another game that really does that. That has a story like this.
That does it like that.
Yeah. That will not show you anything else.
I would say the closest thing that reminds me of the feeling I got when I first played Half-Life and is BioShock.
Yeah.
But BioShock still gives more story within the game.
It does.
Like it makes sense at the end. The whole game makes sense.
This game doesn't make sense. Well, and it does.
And it doesn't it's not a confusing game. It's just, it's one of those things. You know the old saying. It's like when you read a book. It's not about the ending. It's about the journey. And that's what Half-Life is. It's very much it's about the journey. It's about discovering new places, meeting some new characters that you feel for.
For me, once I found out Dr. Breen was in the Citadel, I wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
So like that was, I didn't know if you were going to get to do that, but that was my personal motivation.
Yeah.
Like if I do nothing else, I was like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker.
Well, because there's all these like monitors set up around the city. Like
they call them Breencast. I remember that.
Yeah.
And you wonder, is that a play? Like, is it a play on the system, or is it just like a joke? Yeah, just like a random joke. Because it was around that time, wasn't it?
Well, 2004.
When did Dreamcast kill?
Dreamcast was already dead by then.
Was it? I mean, it still could have been.
Oh, easy.
It sounded like Dreamcast, so that's how I remember it, because the Dreamcast.
But it's just these like big like TV monitors up the city, and he's just like talking
spitting propaganda.
I would love to read one that it has to do with it's Wallace Breen addressing citizens' concerns about the Combine negating human reproduction.
This gives you an idea of how pompous and annoying this guy sounds.
Perfect propaganda. Which this also shows the great writing skills of the Half-Life creators.
Yeah.
We should thank our benefactors for giving us respite from this overpowering force. They have thrown a switch and exorcised our demon in a single stroke, the demon of reproduction. They have given us the strength we never could have summoned to overcome this compulsion. They have given us purpose. They have turned our eyes toward the stars.
Listen to that.
I don't know what the fuck they promised Breen to like do this. But he's bought into their probably to journey to other stars, to journey to other dimensions. They probably told him that he would have like a place in their other dimensions,
which is almost guaranteed to be bullshit.
Bullshit, yeah. He's a gullible motherfucker.
It's almost guaranteed to be bullshit. When they send Freeman off at the beginning of 2, they kind of do something very similar, because they try to teleport you at first from one place to another, but
the teleporter doesn't work. Well, because the stupid head crab Lamar comes out.
Right. Some other just random bullshit happens. It doesn't work. But they're teleporting you around, and one of the places they put you is right in Dr. Breen's office.
Oh yeah,
in the Citadel,
and he's talking to.
Well, no, not yet. At first, he's like, "What? Who the hell are you? What are you doing in here?" And then you leave,
disappear.
But then you come back, and he's talking to a fucking Combine. That's the only time I've ever seen.
That's the first time you see an advisor,
And he's like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was. And then he turns around and sees you, and then he goes, Gordon Freeman. And then you disappear.
Man.
Like, you forget all the good parts.
You forget the good parts of that game. A lot of the good parts of that game is you doing nothing, you having no control over your character, and people talking.
Yeah. Those are great. Those are great moments.
And you get then you get transported outside the facility that's the teleporters.
You get put underwater, and some crazy fucking monsters coming at you, and you disappear. There's so many different little teams. This game is like there's
highly detailed.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's not like if you said, "Well, what's your favorite part of Half-Life?" It would be hard for me to be like, "Oh, well, this part."
Well, this is why we couldn't just do Half-Life 1. Like we had to do Half-Life as a series.
We're getting pretty detailed about it, but you have to like if you want to learn like why why we fucking love
and this might be
so
a little extra long show. I don't think we're going to split it because
what time is it?
We're on an hour now.
That's not bad, dude.
I think we should be okay if it goes on a little longer. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just there's so many little details and
they all come they all come together like to make
perfectly
an amazing fucking game,
and like Nova Prospect. I can't wait. That's one of my favorite parts of the game is when you're going to Nova Prospect. Anyway, so let's go on. So basically, you can't use this teleporter to get to the area to come up with a plan to destroy the Citadel. You've got to hoof it there on foot, which is like miles away. And Half-Life is the type of game where if you got to get miles to get somewhere, you literally have to walk miles. It's going to take you 30 minutes of driving time because they introduced a vehicle mechanic in the game, which is I think is still one of the best vehicle mechanics I've ever played.
The hover thing,
not so much the hovercraft, but the cart, the little the dune buggy that you get.
Yeah. The
hovercraft is really fun. Like the hovercraft sequence.
I remember when the helicopter comes after you. It's like a fucking James Bond sequence. It's dropping like bombs on you.
A lot of
Combine basically knows you're there at this point, and they're trying to.
They know you're there at this point, yeah. And
they're trying to kill you.
Well, they're trying. I don't know if they're trying to kill you. They're trying to capture you.
Kill you. They kill you. Like they will.
Well, if they kill you, then there's no hope for humanity because you're like that symbol. Like
you're the free man.
You're the free symbol of hope. You've become. And they basically like people start spray painting pictures of like crowbars.
Yeah, crowbars. I thought, wasn't there one of like his face or something?
Yeah,
like glasses or something. It's like it's like
the lambda symbol.
Yeah, it reminds me of. I know you hate the movie, but it reminds me of Dark Knight Rises when he's making the little chalk bats all over the city.
Very much.
Like that's what it's like. It's like you're a symbol of like rebellion.
Yeah, he becomes symbol of the rebellion because the word starts spreading like Gordon Freeman's here. And everybody knows Gordon Freeman.
That's so fucking
is
awesome,
the savior
dude.
of Black Mesa.
Yeah.
He's the one who closed the portal.
He's going to save us.
But I think
that's so cool.
I will get to the best part, what Breen has to say about Freeman at the end of our discussion here. Yada yada yada. You've got to make it to this other facility that.
I guess we kind of lied to the people though. This pretty much turned out to be like a dissection.
No, because we're not going through like levels.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff
true.
Like that,
It's true.
and puzzles, and we haven't really talked about the weapons in the game at all.
That's a good point. I take that back.
I will say this: the handgun in that game, like the way it feels and the way it works, is kind of one of the most perfect ways. Weapons have a good weight to them in this game. They sound good.
Yeah.
You feel the power of them.
But go ahead. You said you got to get to Eli.
You got to get to Eli, and there's all this stuff. There's like you got to go through like a swampy area. You got to go through like a deserty area. You got to go through. It's just fun. It's really fun gameplay mechanics, and it's, the hovercraft through the water is fun. And there's a lot of like, oh, you got to stop and open this gate, and then you go into a new building, and like you get a little bit of the story, and like maybe you'll overhear one person talking about the advisors or something like that. But you get to this place, and Alex Vance, I forgot to say, is Eli's, or maybe I did, is Eli's daughter.
She's really
like,
too.
And what?
She's really cute. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I kind of hate that they set it up like that, and it's one of those things where it gives people fodder to say, oh, video games are made for boys because you're following this pretty girl around.
I don't know, man, because she's
smart as hell.
She's really smart, and she's wearing like jeans
full-on
and a
clothes.
jacket. Yeah, they don't disrespecting her.
She doesn't have like a huge ass that jiggles.
Yeah,
and, like
there's nothing that distracted me.
No, there's never, and she never gets in your way.
Yeah,
she's smart and capable on her own. She's highly intelligent, and she's like a good character. But you meet up with her, and what is the other woman?
Susan or Stephanie or something.
No,
like that. Yes, it is. I know. Like you're talking about Eli's woman.
Not Eli's woman. No, not like his wife. I forgot to write it down. The one that double crosses you, Judith Mayers, I think is what it is. It's Judith.
I have no idea.
You don't know who I'm talking about?
No. Is this in Half-Life 2?
Half-Life 2.
This isn't in an episode?
She's... Oh, my God. Look it up. Did you do any research?
I haven't... I just haven't played... Like, I haven't played Half-Life in forever.
I love how as soon as I started typing it went to the screensaver. So now it's just like...
Oh fuck, dude! You better check. See if our recording's still going.
No, it's good.
Are you sure?
I accidentally clicked like the Pokemon fucking card game on my computers. Now it's like trying to update.
Where are our lines? Where are they at?
Judith Mossman. That's what it is. Judith Mossman. And she basically double crosses you. Well, you get to this facility and you meet up with Alex, and she's like, "Hey, come meet Dog." And Dog,
that's the chick I was talking about. Yeah. I just effed up the name. That's all that was. Yeah, isn't she like Breen's like puppet or something?
She's Breen's puppet.
Yeah.
Not Eli's though.
Yeah, fuck you, dude. I knew that's who that was. I told you.
She's a total jerk. Like great.
Yeah, Alex doesn't like her.
No, not at all.
I think she's a.
But she was also a colleague of yours at Black Mesa.
Oh, you know what? I remember they're like, they were going to give her your job, Gordon, but you edged her out, and then he lists something stupid, complicated, like in the such and such area or
field
something.
Of
and it's like wow, dude,
field.
Like they're really that competitive.
Yeah,
like that's how they reveal stuff to you. Like that's the second game, and like, oh, you took her position because you did some crazy ass.
It's just like a tongue in cheek reference to your daily life, and that's how they reveal like big parts of the backstory and what character motivation. So you get to this other facility, and you're introduced to Dog, this giant mechanical AI robot, is kind of a part of the game. Really interesting, kind of cool character. But then civil protection shows up, and you've got to leave the facility. And then you leave Alex.
Just even talking about it is funny, dude. Civil protection shows up, so you've got to run.
You've got to run.
And great.
Civil protection, basically, they kidnap Alex's dad, Eli. And where is he? Where was he taken? Well, they probably took him to Nova Prospect, which, what a great name again. Like the names in this game series are just perfect. Nova Prospect is basically like the prison. And it's where they like get people ready to become transhumans, become slaves, like the stalker slaves, where they basically like, cut people's arms and legs off and attach metal to it. So your whole purpose in life is to push a button. And you become this zombie that just like pushes buttons. So you have to go to Nova Prospect. Well, the only way to get to Nova Prospect is to go across the sands. And the sands have the antlions. And the antlions are very much like a Tremors graboids. Have you ever seen the film Tremors? It's when you walk on the sand, they feel your vibration and they dig up around you, and you've got to like set up these areas. You got to stand on rocks so they can't get you.
That was a scary ass part of the game,
and that was a long part of the game too. And you're driving on the dune buggy through the sand. It's intimidating. It is.
Just like seeing them swim around is intimidating.
Yeah. And you get to Nova Prospect, which is the prison. It's got a great atmosphere. Every time you get to a new area, it's very different than the last
Think
area.
about this. They have the ability to make up whatever they want to put in the game, too, because you're pulling aliens from like, Zen, but they were all, from what I read, there was no native alien population as in. They were all running from the Combine.
Yeah.
So it's like now you've just got a fucking like mixed bag, a grab bag,
different
of,
weird creatures
running around on Earth. So you could, but like that being the case, you could make up any damn scenario you wanted to, and it would make sense.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like, what other game can do that?
Well, that's why the game's so good, is it's got a great scenario.
Yeah.
And I mean, they ripped off Stephen King, but Stephen King ripped off H.P. Lovecraft.
Everybody rips off everybody.
Everybody rips it. What is the old saying? The great sign of creativity is hiding your influences.
They say that shit in the game.
Yeah.
Because the guy was talking about his... I just have to say this. So when they're back in Black Mesa, right? There's three scientists talking. There's like a young guy, a girl, and an older scientist. And the young guy is trying to impress the old scientist by telling him about his paper. Yeah. And then he says something. He's like, well, isn't that like, so-and-so's work? And he's like, yeah, he was a great influence on my work. And the guy was like, I'm not going to listen to any more of this confounded crap, and like walks off.
Yeah.
And the girl, she says that to him. She's like, whatever the hell he said to me. Is like the way the say it again. I thought I was going to remember it now.
I forgot it.
You guys heard
something
it.
along the great sign of creativity.
There it is.
Is hiding your influences.
Hiding your influences. Yeah. I just wanted to say that because I saw that like triggered in my brain.
That's probably why I triggered, because we definitely was doing some research recently about it. That's why I thought about it. What a great line.
It's fucking fabulous, dude. They keep saying stuff like that. And they also say something about TPS reports, and I'm almost fucking certain that's in Office Space, right?
Oh, yeah, this is a big part of Office Space.
So he's like, did you get those TPS reports done? And he's like, God damn it, Gordon, I'm going to get them done. I just don't have the time. I have to calibrate my machine.
Yeah. While the facility's being destroyed around them, they're talking about like TPS reports. Which is I want to say that they say like the administrator wants the TPS reports. Everybody.
That's the best part, dude. They talk about him. You don't know who he is.
Oh, and they just talk about what a dick he is.
Yeah, and it's like, Jesus, like, well, we were gonna put these safety protocols in, but the administrator said we didn't have the budget for it.
Yeah,
like something stupid like that.
And it's great stuff like that. So you try to find Dr. Eli Vance and blah blah blah.
Well, we got to where Dog was. Like a dog,
huh?
Dog.
I talked about that. Civil protection shows up and you got to run, and then you got to go to Nova Prospect, and you go through Nova Prospect, which is a giant prison, and then after Nova Prospect, you have to go through Ravenholm. Is it Ravenholm then? No, it's before Nova Prospect. Is Ravenholm, right?
Yep. It's on the way to
I forgot about Ravenholm.
We don't go to Ravenholm.
We don't go to Ravenholm.
That shit's awesome.
And they just tell them like the only way to get there, Freeman, unless you want to deal with the antlions, is you got to go to
Ravenholm. Was an old resistance hideout, right? That essentially is now just a fucking land of zombies, right?
Basically, all
by zombies, I mean
they were shelled.
Crabs.
Yeah, because they got shelled. The Combine shelled them with head crabs. Because basically
shelled them with head crabs.
Yeah, because so
great.
what the combine does is it captures head crabs and puts them in like metal pods and then shoots them into towns, and the head crabs come out and they
just
turn
take
into
over.
zombies.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So there's and then there's like different head crabs. There's like the spidery ones.
Those
there's
ones
the prison.
are
There's
intense,
the poison
man.
ones.
The ones you were just fighting?
Yeah.
Those ones are crazy.
Well, then the zombies that they turn them into, too.
Yeah, they
like
got the really
super
long
fast-
ass, like Tim Burton looking Nightmare Before Christmas arms and shit.
It's definitely a ripoff of Alien, I think. The head crabs
For sure.
With the face hugger. But I think it's cool that it's like they stay on there and control them. And then within... there's these great scenes within Ravenholm where the Father Grigori shows up and he's just some dude like on it. You see him from like across the street. He's on a rooftop and he's shooting a shotgun. He's
like a pastor.
You got to go this way. I can't believe you made it here. Nobody's made it here. And he's like, don't fall victim to my traps. And then you finally meet him and he sends you on your way to Nova Prospect. You go to
He's like a lunatic who's like booby trapped the entire city.
Yeah, the entire town of Ravenholm.
So there's like, I remember, what kind of traps? They had like car bombs. I know they had car bombs.
Holy fuck. You know what I forgot?
What?
By this point, you have the gravity gun.
Yeah.
0 point energy manipulator or something like that. It's basically a weapon that you can pick things up and shoot them.
Which is like unprecedented, though. We should mention like
in video games, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Fallout, Half-Life had an insane physical.
Reminds you of it a little bit, though. Just like
bit.
the Ravenholm in particular.
Yeah. Well, then this is before Fallout 3, so
Yeah. Anyway, the gravity gun is amazing because you could like pick up barrels of fuel and throw them at some area where there are flames, and like it allows you to create. You could create
everything becomes a weapon at that point.
Yeah. And you could by
toilet.
using it's almost like it plays into the idea of the game because if you use your brain, you can come up with some kind of devastating fucking combo. And
Well,
they
like
put the
you pick up
toys there for you to do
buzzsaws that you
it.
shoot
Buzzsaws
at,
you can
cut 'em
throw,
in
like I was
half.
mentioning earlier, you can get like a fuel can and launch it into an area where there's fire and watch it explode into like this huge fucking bomb.
Yeah. Picking up rocks and trash cans.
Yeah. Or it could be useless as shit. You could be picking up plywood and just flaming.
Did you ever
it
play
stuff.
like the competitive like the deathmatch on Half-Life 2?
Yeah.
It was basically consisted of everybody using the gravity gun and shooting toilets at each other.
Toilets and like 2x4 and pipes.
It was one of the most fun death matches at games.
Yeah, a friend of mine plays it all the time.
Yeah.
I think he plays it.
I would love to
continue.
continue playing it. I haven't played in a while. Moving on.
Yeah, so you get to Nova Prospect.
You get through Nova Prospect. You ride a little train. The train takes you back into City 17. And then they're like, you need to go. Like, well, now that everybody knows you're here, there's a resistance rising, Freeman, and they're storming the citadel.
Yeah, you've inspired people to like fucking lose it because they know you're back. So it kind of
goes on like a big part of like you running around with other people, like fighting against civil protection now, instead of like, because the game starts and almost everybody in the city is in like this like prison garb, drab blue uniforms. Now they've started wearing like knitted hats and like and throughout the game you're meeting resistance people like this, but once you get back to the city, the resistance was really set up more.
It reminds me of, again, Dark Knight Rises, dude.
Yeah,
they're going when they like rise up against Bane and they all charge him at the end. And fucking Batman standing there like Freeman.
Yeah.
Like the leader of the resistance.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it's like.
When it's like Stalingrad almost. You got to storm that one building and bring down the shields, and there's a lot of stuff. And then you finally...
Oh, shit. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I
you got to play
that.
the Striders. And the Striders are basically like the tripods from War of the Worlds.
They're like a Daddy Longlegs, but it's like...
They're the tripod
100 foot
from War of the
high.
Worlds.
Yeah.
Basically. That's what it's ripped off of. Homage, quote unquote. They're ripped off.
Those things are fucking terrifying.
Yeah, because they're hard to kill.
Heavy ass firepower.
Well, they had that like they have like an anti-mass weapon
gun, whatever.
It has that weird, awesome sound. A lot of great sound effects in that game.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. You get into the Citadel, and then you go through the Citadel, and then you get caught in
a lot of platforming there too.
A lot of platforming.
There was a shit ton. It felt like fucking Assassin's Creed. I know you may not be that familiar with the end of the games, but if anybody's gotten to the end of an Assassin's Creed, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's like you take all that fucking platforming you did in the game, and they make you utilize
it. Yeah.
But the framework looked like it because it was all alien towards the end of those games. To where the Citadel is the same fucking way.
Yeah.
It's all like rectangular and like shit's fucking floating all over the place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you just gotta make it up to the Citadel. You're basically trying to get to Breen. Well, they still got Eli Vance, and you're trying to still rescue Eli Vance. And you go up. I think one of my favorite parts is when they take all your weapons away. You basically get stuck in like a weapon containment field, and it sucks all your weapons out of you. And you see like your pistol, your shotgun, your rocket launcher floating in front of you, your gravity gun, and they start like zapping them and disintegrating them. But then they try to zap the gravity gun, and the gravity gun fucks up. And for the rest of the game, your only weapon is the gravity gun. But now the gravity gun can pick up people and not just inanimate objects. And you're awesome. Picking up civil protection soldiers, and you're like floating them in front of you, and you're shooting civil protection at each other. And that's what you're doing for the last like hour of the game.
I think my favorite part is when you like when they figure they lock you down in an area of the Citadel, and then they storm it. But then you get to like set up your own turrets, to have like a defense, and you're
before you go up the elevator,
and you're fighting for like 15 minutes, just like waves
with
and waves
no
of
weapons,
guys.
and you're just shooting dudes at each other.
This shit was crazy.
And it's definitely like a quick pace. Like
because you have to make sure they don't get past the turrets. And they're coming from all four directions too. They're coming from back left, back right, front left,
and you have to like pick up the turrets and move them around. That's such a fun.
It's crazy. It's like a puzzle fight.
Yeah,
because if you didn't put the turrets right, you're gonna get your ass kicked fast because they had like automatic weapons.
Yeah, and then so you go move up through that, and you move through the facility some more, yada yada yada. Basically, you get captured, and they're telling you that as you're captured, Dr. Breen starts talking to you, like through the loudspeakers of the Citadel. And he's just like, Freeman, what have you accomplished in your life?
Yeah, he's pissed.
Everything you've done is you've destroyed. That's all you've ever done. Look what I've done. And he's just like, the Resonance Cascade was your fault, blah, blah, blah. You're useless. We're going to turn you into a stalker. Your entire life is going to be nothing.
And what a fucking asshole, right?
He's just such a fucking prick,
what an asshole. Like he's like sitting here on his little throne on his earth that's been conquered, and he thinks he's built something. He's like the quintessential boss who takes credit for your work.
He takes credit for everyone's work.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, while you're pushing buttons on an Earth that's being destroyed, I'll be traveling through dimensions with my benefactors.
Get the fuck out of here,
every time
dude.
he refers to the Combine, he refers to them as our benefactors. Our benefactors. Praise our benefactors.
He's brainwashed, man.
Oh, yeah, totally.
He's fucking lost his mind.
Well, the power. I mean, think of the power he has. He's ruler of Earth.
But what power does he really have?
He has no power.
Exactly.
He's just
that's why
he's just the way he's their figurehead. Man. He's their puppet, yeah. And they're using him. Yada yada yada.
That's why I wanted to put a bullet in his brain.
You get to the top, you get to the top of the facility. You find out that fucking blah blah and this and that, and that and this and this and that. You have to destroy the core. Like he's about to leave. He's about to like
and that all that stuff he just said was all techno babble.
It's just like
they'll give you a reason why you have to do what you have to do, but unless you want to hear Chad go on for another 10 minutes about like cascades and beams and particles and all that, you just
it starts to hurt your head and you kind of don't care at some point. Because at this point in the game, you're probably like 16 hours in. And you're just like
no shit,
and no shit. Like that's really what it is. Like it's
because
not a
all this stuff we're just cruising through. It's like, oh, you get through Ravenholm, but Ravenholm is a fucking
like
conundrum.
3 hour.
There's like
an hour and a half,
puzzles,
2 hour
problems. Like you have to jump over. Like there's so much.
Not to mention
shit.
you've died 50 times and reloaded your save 50 times. There's all that stuff, and so you kind of like. Breen is like on an elevator about to enter through the portal, and this portal is like above you. You're at the top of the Citadel, and there's this
mile and a half up,
and you can see through this dimensional portal. And on the other side is all these other Citadels, so you can see that the Combine have set up facilities on other worlds. And Breen's like, don't do it, Freeman. Don't destroy my elevator to freedom. You need to die. And then basically you like shoot a bunch of like plasma spheres into like the fucking teleporter, and Breen falls, and he creates an explosion. This massive like nuclear like explosion starts and then freezes. And everything around you freezes. Alex Vance is right next to you, and she freezes, like she gets blown off her feet, and she freezes, and everything freezes. And out from the explosion walks the G-Man.
Fucking,
and it's that like silence kicks in. He's like, "Oh, sorry, our time is up here, Mr. Freeman." And it's that anticlimacticness of the game again. Like, oh, you've destroyed everything. You've played this game for 12, 16 hours. You defeated Breen. Breen's dying. Shit's blowing up. We're not going to show you the explosion.
We're not going to show you what happens after it.
We're not going to show you all that you've done to work up to this point, what you thought was your goal in the game. We're not going to show it to you. We're going to go, oh, sorry, Mr. Freeman, another time.
But that's a G-Man, though. He's just like, all right, you're done.
You're done.
I'm going to go ahead and put you back in your box now.
Yeah, I'll let you know
years.
when we need you again.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That's literally the end of the game.
Yeah.
And
for how many years now? It's like,
from between that one to episode 1,
yeah.
I think it was like 2 years. 3 years.
That's great.
Let me find my notes here. 2 years. So then Half-Life 2 episode 1 came out in 2006. So that was basically an expansion.
There are 2 episodes, right? Or 3?
There's 2.
Okay.
So then episode 1 came out, and basically that game is you kind of just like wake up outside the facility, and the Citadel's going to shit, and Dr. Kleiner's like, hey,
control of you though, doesn't he?
Who, G-Man?
Yeah,
he does.
Okay.
Because what happened? Oh yes, what happens is at the beginning of episode 2, it goes back to that time where time froze, and the Vortigaunts show up. Which I forgot to mention that. Yes, the Vortigaunts are enemies in the first Half-Life, and you totally like systematically like destroy a ton of them. But they're actually they're good guys. It was a miscommunication. And in Half-Life 2, they're like janitors in the city. Like the first Vortigaunt you see is like sweeping the fucking floor. And right, and that's what's happening. Yeah. And so Half-Life 2 episode 1 starts with the explosion at the end where time freezes, and the Vortigaunts show up, and they basically save Alex Vance, and then you still kind of disappear. No, they stop. They retroactively like stop G-Man from taking you, and you end up in the explosion, and they all think you're dead. And then Dog the Machine and Alex Vance, they find you, and they're like, oh, Freeman, you're great. We got to get out of the city. And Dr. Kleiner's like, yeah, it's a good thing you're not in the city or near the Citadel, because it's about to explode, and it's going to like cause some serious shit. Like it might destroy the fucking Earth. Good thing you're not near the city. And Alex looks at her little screen and goes, well, actually, Dr. Kleiner, we're at the Citadel. And Kleiner's like, what? You need to get out of there. Don't go near there. Oh, my God. No, because he says something like, it shouldn't be too bad. And then as soon as they say they're there, he's like, holy shit, I was lying. I was like, everybody that's near there is going to fucking die, because it's going to be like the most insane, like subatomic, like antimatter explosion like that could ever happen.
It's a good thing you're not there. That shit's about to be dust.
Yeah. Well, we are there. What?
Oh, fuck.
You need to, and he's like, well, can't we stop? And he goes, well, yeah, actually you could like stop. You could, it's going to explode either way, but you can stop the core, like this like anti-gravity, it's a dark matter reactor core that powers the Citadel. If you can like open some floodgates or open some coolant towers or something, you can postpone the implosion, and we'll get you out of there, and you can get more people out of there. And so basically the goal of Half-Life 2 episode 2 is escape the city, which, you know, episode
1 and 2 is just getting out of there.
No, Half-Life episode 2 is escape the city. We're gonna start speeding up here. We're like an hour and a half. Half-Life 2 is episode 1 is escape the city, and there's just a lot of like mumbo jumbo babble, blah 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 blah. I think there's a little bit more of the advisors in there. Like you see them a little more. Like you have to go back into the tower and you see some advisors. It's kind of the first time you see they have like a psychic ability, and they can like, I don't know, something to do where they can make you like, they can just not dispose. I don't know. I'm starting to lose it.
I told you, dude. Hour and a half.
I've been like rambling on this fucking
Hour and a
shit
half.
for a while. The advisors have psychic abilities, and they can like basically incapacitate you with like a screeching sound.
I'm gonna give him a break here. I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah. I'm gonna get some water.
I'll tell you the story behind why he's got so much information. I pretty much have like none. I had my finals this week for my degree, and
That's not really why. I just played the game more than you. So
well, that's true. That's part of it. But I mean, like, I could have done a lot more research than I did. But
you never played episode 1 or 2.
Yeah, I never.
Right?
Well, I know, but I still played 1 and 2. And like as the week went on, the less I looked at the stuff. So I wanted.
And I think we were going to do some more research, but we were both like off right now, so we're just like, fuck it. We'll do it live.
Yeah. I literally texted him like, "Let's do this live, bro. Let's do it. Let's do it live."
I think if we had done more research, maybe like if we ever get a YouTube channel up, we'll like do a real like delve into it
or play through it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. Like that's pretty much everything that's in there, right?
Well, in episode 1, that's pretty much it. Episode 2 is where it really picks up, where like you actually find advisors and you like have to kill one. You actually get to kill, I think, one, and there's like some stuff about sending a rocket into space and blah 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 blah. But by the end of Half-Life 2, well,
when did that come out? When did episode 2?
I want to get into Portal here for a second,
okay?
Because the goal of Half-Life. Where did episode 2 come out?
Yeah.
Episode 2 came out in 2007. Came out about a year and a half later.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Damn.
And that's the last Half-Life game. Well, so technically. So the video game Portal takes place in the same universe as Half-Life. And the first Portal takes place in a facility, it's an Aperture science facility. But it's basically Black Mesa's competitors to the government for arms and stuff.
And they're trying to figure out the same technology.
Well, they were just trying to come up with a teleportation device, and Aperture kind of made the better one. And in basically the story in episode 2 is there's this a ship, a research vessel called the Borealis, and it disappeared and reappeared somewhere one day. Well, it disappeared from Aperture Science one day and reappeared in the Antarctic out of nowhere. And that's kind of like Judith Mossman, even though she kind of double-crossed you, she's kind of back on your team at the end of episode 2, or in episode 2. And she's like in Antarctica or in the Arctic, like looking for this ship. And you're kind of like, that's kind of where like it's headed. Like that's obviously like, that's where the next game would have taken place, is in the Arctic. But Portal like has a lot to do with that. And it's Portal, like, I would say the first Portal game takes place probably right after the Resonance Cascade, or within like a year or so. And then Portal 2 probably takes place like 20 years later when Half-Life 2 is going on, because the world's all kind of like run down and whatnot. Yada, yada, yada. You get to the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, and there's a bunch of advisors, and the advisors kill Eli Vance. And you're like, oh shit. And then the game fucking ends. And that's just where it ends, is Eli Vance gets his brain sucked out by an advisor. The advisor slims away. Alex Vance is crying over her dead dad, and the game ends. And that's it. And we haven't seen shit. So this is why people want a new Half-Life. There's no closure. There hasn't been closure. And Portal, I would say Portal 2 kind of helped with some closure, but not really. And that's why people want Half-Life 3. They're like, okay, it just kind of ended. It didn't end like in a way like, oh, Gordon, we're going to put you in stasis again, like the other like Half-Life 1 or 2 ends. It just ends, man. He's dead. His daughter's crying, and they're like, what are we going to do now? And that's it. That's Half-Life.
It's a good game, man.
It's an amazing game. It's so spectacular. There's so much, like, it's such a rich story.
And I think I have to bring it back to the fact that it's awesome because
I could sit here and talk about it for 3 days.
I'll say this: it's unique because you're seeing it from one guy's perspective the whole fucking time, and you can do this
not completely because in Portal you're Shell and you're kind of seeing the events of the Resonance Cascade from her perspective.
1 to episode 1 and 2.
Yeah, but you also got Opposing Force, and then
I know.
Adrian
I
Shepard.
meant like the main storyline though.
The main
is just
storyline.
Freeman.
Yeah.
And unless you look up a third of the shit we talked about here, you can play through all of them, and to this day you won't know half of it.
Yeah. It's very much like the
of it.
active community and has just like talked about it.
There was what I really wanted? They have those little head crab plush toys. Plush toys. I wanted one.
You're not mad as I didn't buy the Art of Half-Life 2 Raising the Bar years ago. It's like $100 book now or something like that, $200.
Damn.
But when it first came out, it was like a $45 book. It's hard to find now. It's rare. It's all the art, and a lot of the information we talked about is from that.
Oh, okay.
It's from like notes and stuff from that. I would love to go to Valve and go in there and be like, "Where's your Half-Life Bible? I know you got one sitting here. I know you got like 5 folders full of Half-Life information.
Where is it?
Where is it? I want to read it." God damn, yeah, I love it. I love that game so much. I think it's one of the best games ever made to this point. Whenever I say something is the best thing ever, I mean up until this point of my existence. Of course, something else had come along. The first BioShock, I put that up there with some of the greatest games.
I think one of the best, I don't want to call it a twist because I hate that word, but I think one of the best story elements is the Will You Kindly thing.
In BioShock.
Yeah, that shit was amazing.
Yeah, I don't even want
to ruin it.
I don't want to ruin it.
I just want to say that, and that'll be that.
If we ever do a BioShock one, we'll definitely say, "Hey, we're going to spoil it." Yeah. Would you kindly? I think it's one of the most genius things ever. That's fucking Ken Levine, man. He's like Gabe Newell. Like he's a great video game creator. He's a smart guy. He uses silent protagonists and actually not silent in BioShock, but they're mostly silent. BioShock, yeah, great game too. I would love to do one on BioShock.
I'd like to play through that game again though, because it was pretty easy to beat.
Did you ever play Infinite?
I bought it
when you played it over here.
I bought it though. I own it.
I thought I let you borrow it or something.
No, I got it on my computer. I wasn't gonna be able to play that on the 360.
No, you'd want to play it.
Yeah. All the Half-Lives I played on the computer. The BioShock I played before.
I did play Half-Lives up to episode 2, and Portal didn't work on my PC.
Oh.
So I had to get it for the Xbox 360. I had to get the orange box for that.
I don't know how I stumbled onto it, man, but I'm glad I did.
What, Half-Life?
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck possessed
reading
me
it. I want to say the box art more than anything.
Probably.
The orange. You see a character with glasses. As an 11-year-old child that wore glasses, and it definitely hindered a lot of physical activity, I feel. Even with you wear contacts, but contacts get dry. And after 2 hours of being outside in the daylight, like swimming in the fucking water or some shit, your eyes get dry and you want to take your contacts out. Glasses really do hinder you. And to see a character in a game with glasses, kind of just, I connected to it. I connected to him automatically.
Yeah. I always liked him because he was quiet and he was smart.
Yeah.
And that's usually the type of person I hang around. It sounds arrogant to say that I consider myself one of those types of people, but I do. So I thought he was fucking great.
Yeah.
I guess that's it, dude.
Yeah. You want
good job, man. Yeah, you did pretty good.
I'm really cutting it short because I could go into Portal for about another hour.
Well,
and talk
maybe
about
that'll be extra show then.
Yeah. Want to plug some stuff?
You know what? How many fucking times, and we're gonna get to the end of these episodes, and I just haven't done it. We're supposed to do this stuff at the beginning of the show. Yeah, and I told myself driving over here. I told myself, it's okay, remember to do this. We kind of
just jump into these shows. And we just
whatever. Yeah, we were sitting there. I don't know what we were doing, but
we didn't want to talk about it because we don't want to talk about the game before we go into the show.
No, but I'm talking about the way you started recording. You're like, "You ready to go?" And I was just sitting there on my phone. He's like, "Yeah, let's do this." And he's like, and then I'm thinking, "Okay,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1."
Yeah, he's like 3, 2. I'm like, "Oh." So I'm going to start putting all this stuff in the show notes too. I'm going to have it so that if you ever want to look for it, excuse me. If you ever want to look for it, you can do that in the extra information. So right under the episode description, you can find this stuff. So if you want to talk to us, if you want to make any show recommendations, if you want to tell us we suck ass or you like the show, you can do that at poweronpod@gmail.com.
Have we gotten any emails yet?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Have we?
Yeah, I've been telling you about them the whole time, dude.
No, you haven't. You even told me a little bit, but I thought it was reviews on on iTunes or something. You should send me these emails.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
We just need to give me the password to the...
Yeah. You fucked me up, dude. Like, you blew my mind. Like, I was getting ready to go in this train and, like, all these different things.
You're on a train and nothing.
Where was I at?
You were on the email.
Okay. PowerOnPod@gmail.com. Then we have Facebook at PowerOn Podcast. That's where most of us, or at least I'm active a lot.
I read it.
I saw you posted something to somebody that said something about about episode 3. These reads suck ass, man. Let me just crank these out real quick. Then we can bullshit for like 2 seconds. Yeah. Okay, so the Facebook is PowerOn Podcast. And the Twitter is at PowerOn Pod. What else do we have? The website's on there, but the URL sucks. So if you want to find that, that's on. It's going to be in the show notes. I'm not even going to try to say it. Yeah. And we used a free service called Wix, but they didn't give us an actual address.
Patreon.
Yeah, there you go. We have extra shows we do. Like I was mentioning, we're going to do one on Portal. Just random stuff.
We recently recorded a new... What was the last
Video Game Hall of Fame we did. We got one on Dino Crisis and Dino Video Game, all kinds of shit. So just random stuff that we want to put up that we want to do slightly less professional.
I think we'd like to do it more if we get some Patreon supporters. The more supporters we get, the more extra stuff we're going to do.
Yeah, that and time too. Yeah. Now that I've got like a little bit of free time, I've got like maybe 4 weeks where I can just walk around and do this shit.
Yeah.
We can actually crank them out. I forgot my damn flash drive for the show anyway. But patreon.com/PowerOn if you want to support the show. Extra shows are on there. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I had a Twitter. I'm going to delete it. I'm never going to use the fucking thing.
Oh,
what's your Twitter?
Yeah. At Dashing Drew Rude. I read that shit all day. I'm a loser. I have nothing better to do.
Maybe we should like just start an actual like PowerOn podcast Twitter.
We have that, dude. At PowerOn Pod.
It's a Twitter account?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, why don't you should use that one?
I should use that.
I'll just give that to you.
Yeah,
that was the original plan because I'm on Facebook fucking constantly.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, like give me that. Just post shit and then.
So if you guys are talking to the PowerOn podcast Twitter, you'll be talking to me, Chad Novinka.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Hopefully, we'll start getting that set up more. I really want to start doing some blogs. Hopefully,
you have the ability to do that.
I'm going to start doing that, not just on some video games. I want to do some album reviews and maybe some movies or stuff.
Whatever.
That I go see by myself.
That's on the website, and the website URL is on the Facebook page. Yeah. And again, I'm putting all the shit in the show notes so that it will be listed and clear.
This is
like almost a fucking 2-hour show.
This is an extra. We've done our first show was like this long.
Our first show was an hour and 24 minutes.
Oh, well, this is hour 46 so far.
This is the longest fucking show we got, dude.
Damn. it deserves it. It's Half-Life.
Yeah, it's a good series. It's a big one.
It's a real.
It's one. We like with things like this. We would normally do dissections, but the problem is. You can't do a dissection on the show because it would be like, then you went down this hall. Then you go down that ladder. Then you saw it would be stupid.
Then you shot some dude and there was like, it would work in a video segment, but.
Yeah, you could do it as a video segment, but you can't really do it on an audio show.
It's hard.
Yeah. So this one ended up being a little bit longer because it deserved to be cut open, but you just couldn't do it. So you just can't do it. So we just kind of rambled a little bit. Dr. Breen's fucking great. That's one of my last thoughts that I'm thinking about before we got out here. I love that character. I think he's one of the most fleshed out characters of all time in a video game. The motherfucker literally has a mental condition. And it's evident in the game when you play it. It's just great. Game's great. I fucking love it.
I fucking love it too.
You ready to...
we gone?
You ready to... Well, oh shit, dude. You see what time it is? We're late for a shift at Black Mesa. We gotta get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, we gotta get the fuck out of here.
All right. This is Dashing Drew Rude signing off.
This is Chad Novinka. And remember, and prepare for unforeseen consequences.
You couldn't even say it. Bye.
Bye.